Okay everybody, today we're going to add an amplifier and a subwoofer to a 2025 Chevy Equinox. I'm going to try to walk you through my process of doing this. So to do this, we have three things we need to do. We need to connect power to the amplifier. We need to connect the signal from the radio to the amplifier. We need to disable the ANC mics. And also we need to set up our amplifiers. So yeah, let's get this going. Today I'm doing a full system amplifier. So we should do all 4 channels of the door and another channel just for the subwoofer. But these same methods should work if you only want to add a subwoofer. So yeah, let's get into it. So like all cars, when you're doing electrical work, the first thing is to disable the negative terminal of the battery. So you see here, looks like about a 7 or 8 bolt screw. We're gonna undo that and then pull this battery off to disconnect. I stand corrected, it was a 10mm bolt, but yeah, just disconnect that. You should be able to lift up and remove this battery terminal. So the next thing you do is you find a way to get through this firewall. That's this wall that separates the engine from the car. The best way is to find the existing grommet, which is usually like a piece of rubber, something like that you can pierce and go through, but you wouldn't pick that, that's too small. Since the battery's on this side, we would look over here. Okay, so to get a better picture of what's going on back there, I'm gonna remove this. This looks to be about a 10 or a 13mm bolt. Remove it, lift it up. This is your excess coolant overflow, so just be careful. So now that I've removed it, you can see there's this huge grommet back here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a risk and I'm gonna try to cut a small incision to the left and then feed some power wire through it. Wish me luck. Yeah, that thing was no joke. I basically had to carve out the entire like triangle to try to get this wire through. Hopefully it seals up nice. All right guys, we're finally through. Now I know I make everything on this channel look easy. I need you to understand, getting through that grommet was not easy. So to get through this grommet, I basically had to keep shoving multiple items through it to a point I thought I could start an OnlyFans with it. It was not easy. I had to use a knife to cut. Here's just a list of stuff. I started with a screwdriver, then a socket wrench. And I shoved the ass of a bigger socket wrench, then an even bigger socket wrench. And while this was happening, I was making little small cuts. It was not easy. And once I got my hand back there, I realized this harness that comes in is like really close to that hole. So try to get as far left as you can so you don't accidentally cut the harness. But man, that was some work. But it seems like the hardest part is done on running the power from the front. All right, now we'll do the firewall. We're gonna try to tuck all this behind this trim piece, but then we're gonna run into the back of the trunk, and I'm just gonna skip ahead to what we do when we're back there. All right, so the plan here is to run the amp underneath the compartment cargo spot, so like right there. So I'm predicting that I'm gonna have to take this bucket out because chances are I'm gonna have to ground the wire back there somewhere. So as far as screws go, there's 1, 2, 3, and 4 to take the little cubby off that goes around the spare tire. And now we got it off. You see it's a lot of opportunities for a good ground. Okay, so I was able to get the power wire all the way back through here, and now I'm about to figure out the ground situation. Okay, so for the ground wire, I saw this little area here. I took this sandpaper block, sanded it down. Now what I'm running is, I have a bolt and a washer. There's another bolt that's gonna go on top, and it's gonna screw it all down into this ground wire. Okay, so now we got a good secure ground wire. At this point, I think I wanna work on the signal wires before I start connecting this. So now we need to hook up the T-harness, which is gonna give us signal from our radio back to the amp. And you're probably wondering, what is a T-harness, how does it work, and how do you wire it? So the T-harness you'll want for this is called the LOC-GMH3. What this should do is allow you to add a 2-channel amplifier, but also a 4-channel amplifier. So let's get into it. How a T-harness works is very simple. So in the car, there's a connection like this already. What we're gonna do is disconnect these same connectors from the car, plug them into this, then plug this into the car. As you can see, it makes a straight line. But what they did is they tapped that line to give you this. So yeah, this helps you set up a low output converter. But if you look over here, it's fused to. If you look over here, these are your actual speaker connections. So one comes from the radio, then there's another connection that connects it to a harness inside the car, and those wires run throughout the car, and that gives you power to your speakers. So what you could do is it's set up so you could disconnect this actually. So you'll have wires that come out and go to give your amplifier a signal, but then you'll also have wires over here. You can just add this quick tap here, this quick connection, and now you can run this to your amplifier output. So the output from your amplifier goes in through here, connects through here, and then now it can use all the stock wiring inside the car to help make wiring to the speakers easier. So this will help give your amp signal. Now after you get the signals amplified, you can send it back through this same harness. And since this is a T harness, all you're doing is disconnecting the stock harness, inserting this in between. So when you want to take this apart, maybe you want to trade the car in or whatever, you just disconnect everything, put the stock wiring back together, and you're good. It's like you never touched the car to begin with. And this whole thing is only 50 bucks on Amazon. I'll make sure to drop the link. However, if you aren't going to add like a 4-channel amp, you just keep this disconnected and you reconnect this back together. You just use the LOC as normal. But if you are doing like I am doing, when you do these speaker connections, understand one thing. So to the car, you no longer have speakers connected. It can't sense that. So what you have to do is you have to trick the car into thinking that there are some type of connections going on with it. So in line to your LOC, you actually need to wire something like this. These are called load resistors, and this will go in line before it goes to the LOC. Or in my case, I can actually connect directly to my amp, but however it goes, the system needs to see a load before it outputs a signal. If it doesn't see a load on a certain channel, like your front left door, it's gonna assume it's disconnected, so it's gonna mute that channel because it doesn't want to short circuit something. It's just a protection thing. These can go for $27 a pack. I think I've seen them as low as $20 a pack if you go with a different brand, but yeah, you're going to need these if you plan on wiring an amp for the doors too, not just for the bass. Oh, and if you need to know which colors are which, it comes with some directions to let you know front left, front right, such and such. So for example, this is how mine will go. See, I have all the wires hooked into the wire loads. I don't need the power and ground because I'm going directly into my amp. And I have a 9-speed wire, and I'm running this through the car, connect that directly to the amp for my inputs. And then for my outputs, it says to the OE speakers. I already have that hooked up to another 9-speed, so that's just a quick connection to make once I'm in the car. But now we've got all that done, let's get it installed. So first step is it's going to be on the passenger side. You need to remove the bottom kick panel on the passenger side. There should be a couple screws and a few tabs. So I don't know if it's because it's practically a brand new car, but every little thing is hard to get off of here. So there's going to be 2 screws, one down the middle, one in the back. But they're not normal size screws. They're these screws, and they have like a star pattern. To even hit them, I have to use a star pattern bolt. And the one in the back is really hard to get to because there's not enough distance for like an actual screwdriver. But on the front, there's going to be 2 clips. So you can see it's hanging off by one. This clip was extremely hard to get out. I used the pry tool, and I just kept pulling to get the pry tool off for the first one. But the second one, the pry tool snapped in half. That's how strong it's on there. So it's hanging off, but I think this is more than enough to show you the connections underneath. All right, so now we're down to the bottom right, and you can see, I don't know if you call that an amplifier or what, but you can see the connections I was talking about. If you look all the way in the back, you'll see the gray and the black connections that this T-harness is supposed to replace. Gray goes towards the engine bay. Black goes towards your rear passenger seat. So we're just gonna take the T-harness and insert those connections there. Okay, so like everything so far, that was harder to get out than it should be. So on the door side, there's gonna be this white clip. You gotta find a way to get some metal back there. I use the Allen key, squeeze it and pop it up. Problem is it's on this side, it's a tight fit. But once you do that, you just better squeeze these connections inside and pull it off. And now, I just better take those same, I just better take these connections and put them into these connections from the T-harness. Okay, we got the T-harness locked in. And the radio cut back on, so that lets me know we're good. This is the right T-harness. So I didn't show us on the other side, but once we get these amp wires going, we're gonna run them all the way to the back. And you're gonna wanna tuck them under the trim. Trim comes out pretty easy. It's just pretty much lifting up. And for this front one, you kind of pull back a little. But the rear one comes out the same way, just lift up. And eventually these will unclip. Okay, so using the wire coat hanger, I was able to thread both lines of wires underneath this center pillar. And I can start cleaning it up and send it to the back. Here we go, I have speaker wires coming back. Here I have speaker connections. I got my power and ground. And what I want is I want to mount this in a way that if I need this emergency type tire, I could just lift the whole amp rack up. Let's just say, in the past, I've seen what happens when you don't think ahead like that. And there we have it. Got the amp mounted to where I want it. The best part is when I need to get to the spare tire, still kind of lift it up to get it out. All I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut a little hole in this bottom carpet piece. If you wanted to, you can cut holes to this. I don't really want to do that. Cut a hole through this bottom piece and then let the wires come up and make the connections. Not the best looking job, but we got the power wires coming out and we got the audio wires coming out. Okay, so I've got the speakers and the inputs, everything wired. I just need to go up front and add a fuse and then see if I can get this to cut on. So when it comes to the fuse, it turns out you can kind of thread through this black cover. You have to bend it up, but you should be able to slide it through this little port and put it back together, just like that. It's almost like they want you to add a sound system. All right, fuse zip tied, everything looking good. Let's start seeing if we can get this to work. We got power, y'all. All right, now to set up this amp, I've already made a video on how to set up amps. This video is getting pretty long, so I'm just gonna link it. But I will say this, when you set up the gains, I would use Bluetooth, not CarPlay. CarPlay tends to have built-in stuff that kind of messes up with setting up amps, but your Bluetooth is usually a pure signal. Also, one more thing, you need to disable the ANC mics inside the car if you plan on adding a subwoofer. I'm gonna link a video to that too. Like I said, this video is getting pretty long. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Look at all that trunk space I still got. Yeah. Gotta hook this up, see what it sounds like. I probably gonna be able to play too much music without getting copyrighted. We're gonna see. Oh, and one last tip, to keep a box from sliding around, just put screws around the edge of it. Don't screw into the box, but make it so that the box can't move without hitting these screws. There we have it. I can't play any music because of copyright, but man, this was worth the effort. The speakers sound so clear, and this W3, I've never heard something this clear, ever, in all my systems. Get what you pay for. But yeah, those who watched, thank you, like and subscribe. And yeah, it's been real.